Well, we're really excited. This is our first opportunity to compete this season for West Virginia University. That opportunity opens up tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, against the University of South Carolina Upstate. They're a new program with a new coach, new team. Our team is really excited about this, and we're ready. They've been working their tails off, and now it's time. It just so happens that this game also aligns with Veterans Day, and so we have a special military appreciation game or evening tomorrow night, and we're thankful. We're thankful for all who have served and who continue to serve our country. It's an incredible commitment. You're on call 365 days a year, 24 hours a day, and tomorrow night we have an opportunity to honor those who provided that commitment and the sacrifices that they've made and that their families have made. At the same time, it's also National Letter of Intent signing day today, so there's a lot going on. You'll see throughout the course of the day some social media blasts on the two young ladies who have signed with us, Ayanna Johnson and Grace Grahalski. So busy time, but also a really fun time.
All right, questions for Coach. Do you need more time, or at this stage, do you need to see a regular season game against somebody else?
Well, we're looking forward to a game against somebody else. I think certainly when you go in, there are a lot of things that, you always wish you had more time to have more preparation. But at the same time, I'm sure everybody in the country feels a little bit the same way. So we're ready. We're looking forward to it.
Coach, in about the week from the exhibition game up until the regular season starting tomorrow, what's been the area of emphasis for your team?
Well, we've really been focusing on our transition defense. We call that conversion. We've been really focusing on who we are there and what we need to do to be as efficient as possible. We're really looking at how do we continue doing really little things a little bit better. How do we pursue rebounds? How do we make sure that we're taking care of the basketball? Little things along those lines. But probably the big picture area has been our transition defense.
You're looking for from your team these first, 4 or 5 games before you get into the Thanksgiving tournament time? What are you looking for?
Well, I think we have to figure out what our flow is going to be, what our kind of opportunities to work together look like, what do our rotations look like. I think ultimately we've got to compete. We compete and we play really hard. We're going to learn a lot about ourselves at that point in time.
What do you like right now about your team?
I love that we're getting better. I love our energy. I love yesterday's practice was our best practice in terms of who we are from an energy standpoint and a competitive standpoint, and that's really good to see.
You said previously you were worried about when the lights come on, bad habits maybe coming back out. Have you seen less of that? Is the anticipation to see less of that?
Well, I would say this. I'm not sure that they're bad habits. I think that players have their things that they do really, really well. And that's what's going to happen tomorrow night. When they put their uniform on, they're going to do what they naturally normally do. And so then our job as coaches is how do we figure out, should we modify that or should we modify what we do because they're really good at that? And so what we've done a little bit is modify some of the things that we do to let them play to their strengths. The fun part about our offense, and really to some extent our defense too, is that we do have flexibility in how we run it and how we do it. And so we can allow them to be who they are and really try to suit them, and which then suits us at the highest level.
How long does it take for those habits to become fit to your system, Coach? Is that a matter of coaching over a period of time, or is it just something that maybe is going to click after you guys play some games?
That's a great question. I would say it probably comes down to 2 things. One, how willing are players to make those changes and modifications? And I would say this, I really believe that our group overall is very willing to do that. Now, at the same time, if you're somebody who has always done it one way and you've done it thousands of times one way or maybe even more than that, and now we're asking you to modify that a little bit, that's going to take some time, to get to that point of what that really looks like. And so I just think the bottom line is their desire to be coached and to modify some of that is really, really high, and they're really, really fun to be around.
Watching your team, just the little bit that I have, it seems like the more you play together, the better they play. So it's a process, right? That's how you go about it, that's how you develop, that's how you learn your players? Is that?
Well, exactly, and it's understanding. I think it's understanding when we attack the rim, what does that look like, and how do other players space the floor when we're attacking, or what are different ways that we can attack. And there are good shots. I think against Fairmont State, we got some of those. The very first possession when Maddie got double teamed and we threw it inside to Kylie, and Kylie had it and she kicked it out. I think Jayla shot an open three. It's a great shot. That's great basketball. At the same time, what could have been better is for Kylie to look at the basket, turn, face, be aggressive, have one of our kids dive to the basket, to the block, and we might have gotten a layup. So understanding what your options are and how to give yourself more options is what we're trying to learn right now.
So you obviously have to play together to do that.
You have to play together to do that, absolutely.
Coach, a moment ago, you talked about playing to the strengths of the members on this team. Obviously, you don't have much to go on except practice, but early impressions, what do you think is going to be the strength of this team this season?
Well, I think the strength of this team has to be our ability on the defensive end to put pressure on people. And we can do that in a lot of different ways. Not right now, we're really trying to solidify what that looks like in a half court first and foremost. We have to be able to be really good in a half court. But I believe we have the ability and the potential to be really solid defensively. We have to do that. Then the next part is the versatility of our team. I think we may be smaller than we have at times, or our program has been at times, but at the same time, I think we also have great versatility. So we've got to find ways to play to that. Now, again, the challenging part is, what does that look like? Either we really space really well or we move really well, but we haven't figured out how to move really well and space really well at the same time. And that's hard. That's really a challenge.
Man-to-man first for you, right? First and foremost, when do you start branching out as you learn your players?
Okay, repeat that. I missed that.
Man-to-man coach.
Man-to-man, yep,
yeah.
right.
Where do you go from there? Do you start putting in other elements as you go, or is that you just have to wait and see how you react to it?
Well, we've added a few different looks out of it. What we enjoy about coaching in a man-to-man defensively is that we can tweak part of it, how we guard different actions to give it a different look. Whether that's a ball screen, whether that's different ways teams attack you, we can have a couple different ways to guard that. And ironically, the interesting part is when I coached at Northern Kentucky, we played against the University of South Carolina Upstate. Now, totally different team, completely different coaching staff, but it was actually playing against Upstate and was playing against Mercer in that conference that, the way we guarded in a man, they found ways, we made them take really tough shots. And I think it was actually Mercer too. It took really tough shots. And we thought, well, if it's going to be tough for them to make those tough shots all game long, and they made tough shots all game long. And so then we figured out, okay, we need to certainly have different ways to guard each different type of action. If this isn't working, what's our backup to that?
Tomorrow, they've got one player back from the year before. Do you go back and research a little bit about what he did before Upstate to try to get an idea what they're going to do to you?
Yeah, absolutely. We go back to Jason Williams was at Belmont. Abby, what are things that he's done? What has his team's done? They've had an opportunity to play one game. They opened up on Monday the 7th, so we have a chance to see that. We go back and look at the players that have transferred in. Right. What did they do at their respective universities? Because again, players typically have their tendencies of what they like to do. Try to find some high school film or information from their signing days or those type of things. So I think we've been trying to put our players in the best possible situation to at least be familiar as possible.
This is a unique era because you've got completely new teams that we're talking about now. Your team's basically, well, not completely new, but you're encountering that a lot more. So there's not a lot of overlap, is there? Right.
No, it's different. I think it's something that it puts us in a position where we have to do a lot of research, and at the same time, it's kind of in a little investigative part of that, and that's kind of fun too.
So, Coach, along those lines, I know all of your players were new to you at some point here in West Virginia, but Williams he has one returner. You had half a dozen.
Right.
How much value is there in having players that are experienced that really want to buy in right away?
Oh, absolutely. I think we have an advantage in that situation because we do. Our players are very hungry. We have 7 returners from last year's team here at West Virginia. We have 6 new faces. And I think we're starting to gel at a higher level. We're starting to understand how to play together, how to feed off of each other's strengths, how to really build each other up, But in order to lead others, you have to be able to lead yourself. But in order to lead yourself, you have to know what that's supposed to look like. And it's hard because they're all learning what it's supposed to look like at the same time. So that it does take some time to figure all that out.
After you studied the exhibition against Fairmont State, I'm not sure you got much out of them size-wise, because that's not what you're going to face, but they did have bigger guards. What did you like about the way your team played against them in that game?
Well, I thought we did a good job of making adjustments from the first half to the second half. You know, we took care of the ball better in the second half. We attacked the rim better in the second half. You know, so I thought we saw some really good adjustments that our players are able to make, and that's really the game of basketball. You've got to continue to be able to identify what it looks like, and from our player standpoint, hopefully for them to be able to identify it and make adjustments as the game is going on, rather than having to wait for timeouts. And that's something that, again, we will continue getting better at as time goes on.
Coach, health-wise, good?
Yeah, for the most part, we're in a pretty good spot. Yeah, we are. Our kids are competing. Now, at the same time, I say that, and the flu has gone around and everything. So if you would ask that question a few days ago, we would have had a little different answer at that point in time. But as of today, as of what time we're at 10:09, we're doing all right.
Is the plan to play a lot of players early? Is that how you usually go about it, or do they have to earn their playing time?
Well, I think they have to be in a position to provide what our team needs at that stage. So, we're not necessarily the staff that goes in and scripts, here are the order of how we're subbing. I think it depends on how the game is going, what the game needs, what's being dictated at that point in time. How can we kind of put some pressure on the other team? What does that look like? At the same time, fouls, are we a team that can we stay out of foul trouble? And I think that's something that we've got to continue to work on.
So you don't go into a game and say, okay, I want to experiment and see what this looks like or this combination. It's more dictated about what happens in the game. Is how you
right.
go about it.
I think our ability to, our opportunity to kind of predetermine what that is going to look like happens before the season probably gets underway. I think as time goes on, you get into a natural flow of what that looks like, and I think each game will kind of help us figure that out.